August 1993. Savona, New York. A small town where children played in the streets, where parents waved goodbye from their porches and felt safe letting their little ones walk alone to camp. It was the kind of place people moved to for peace, community, and safety. But on one warm summer morning, that picture of innocence was ripped apart. 4-year-old Derrick Robie left his house to walk to summer day camp. It was only 5 blocks away. His mother hesitated, torn between pride in her son's independence and the protective instinct every parent knows. Finally, she let him go. She could never have imagined that those 5 blocks would change everything. Derrick never arrived. Hours later, his body was found in a wooded area near his home, strangled, beaten with rocks, and assaulted in ways almost too cruel to describe. The horror stunned the nation. And the most chilling truth? His killer was not a stranger or a shadowy predator. It was another child, 13-year-old Eric Smith. Welcome to Dark Side Secrets. This is where we uncover the darkest crimes and the most disturbing stories, the ones that linger in the back of your mind long after the video ends. If chilling cases like this disturb and fascinate you, don't forget to like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next case. Eric Smith didn't look like a killer. To most people, he was just a boy who didn't quite fit in. With his fiery red hair, oversized glasses, and freckles, he stood out in ways that drew the cruel attention of bullies. He was mocked, teased, and left out. Teachers described him as intelligent but troubled, bright but unable to connect. At home, things were no better. His father had abandoned the family, leaving Eric with a wound of rejection that only deepened over time. His mother and stepfather tried to give him stability, but Eric carried anger inside him like a ticking bomb. There were warning signs. He sometimes lashed out at other children in sudden, violent bursts. Once on the school bus, he tried to choke a younger boy until adults pulled him away. But no one, not his family, not his teachers, not his classmates, believed he could cross the line in a murder. To them, he was just a lonely, awkward kid, misunderstood and mistreated. They never saw the darkness that was growing inside. On the morning of August 2nd, 1993, while the town went about its day, Derrick Robie was full of excitement. He loved summer camp. He wanted to walk alone, to feel grown up, to prove he was independent. His mother hesitated, weighing the risk, the distance, the fact that this was a quiet town where nothing bad ever seemed to happen. Finally, she kissed him goodbye. That small choice, a choice countless parents make every day, became the moment that changed her life forever. As Derrick walked through the neighborhood, he crossed paths with Eric Smith. Eric was aimlessly wandering, simmering with a rage he couldn't control. Later, he would tell investigators he felt an overwhelming urge to hurt someone that morning. Anyone. And when he saw Derrick, small and defenseless, that urge took over. Eric approached Derrick with a lie. He told him he knew a shortcut to camp. Innocent and trusting, Derrick followed. Together, they walked into the woods. No one saw them go. No one was there to stop what happened next. In that isolated patch of trees, Eric unleashed his fury. He strangled Derrick with his bare hands. He dropped heavy rocks on the boy's fragile body. And then, in an act that shocked investigators to their core, he violated him with a stick. The brutality of the attack was almost beyond comprehension. Derrick was only 4 years old, and his killer just 13. When Derrick didn't arrive at camp, counselors called his mother. At first, it was confusion, then dread. A search began, neighbors fanning out through the town, calling Derrick's name. Within hours, the horror was revealed. His small body was found in the woods, just a few hundred yards from his home. The discovery was like a bomb dropped in the middle of the community. People wept openly in the streets. Parents clutched their children tighter. Savona was no longer safe. Police began questioning residents. They knocked on doors, spoke to kids, gathered details. Eric Smith quickly drew their attention. Witnesses had seen him near the wooded area. Detectives noticed his story didn't quite add up. But more unsettling than the inconsistencies was his demeanor. Eric seemed fascinated by the case. He volunteered information. He wanted to talk about the crime. He seemed almost proud. For days later, under questioning, Eric confessed. He calmly described how he lured Derrick, how he attacked him, how he killed him. When detectives asked him why, his answer was chilling. He said, "I was angry inside. That was it. No motive, no reason, just rage." The trial began in 1994, and it drew nationwide attention. People struggled to understand how a boy could commit such a savage crime. In the courtroom, Eric looked like any awkward teenager, small, thin, sitting in a shirt and tie. But the testimony of medical experts stripped away that image, exposing the horrifying details of what he had done. The prosecution argued that Eric knew exactly what he was doing. They said the crime was deliberate, planned, and carried out with full awareness. Eric, they argued, understood right from wrong. He wasn't a child who made a mistake. He was a murderer. The defense painted a very different picture. They described a boy abandoned by his father, bullied by his peers, pushed to the edge by years of pain. They introduced a diagnosis: intermittent explosive disorder, a condition they claimed that caused sudden, uncontrollable bursts of violence. Eric wasn't evil, they said. He was sick. He needed treatment, not a prison cell. The jury faced an impossible decision. He was only 13, but the crime was too brutal to ignore. After hours of deliberation, they returned their verdict. In August 1994, Eric Smith was found guilty of second-degree murder. The sentence: 9 years to life in prison. For Derrick's parents, the verdict brought little comfort. Their only son was gone forever. Their home, once filled with laughter, was now silent. For the community of Savona, the trial shattered the illusion of small-town safety. Eric Smith became the embodiment of innocence turned into horror, proof that sometimes the monster isn't outside, but living next door. Eric remained behind bars for nearly 3 decades. Year after year, he faced the parole board. Year after year, Derrick's parents showed up, pleading for him to remain locked away. They argued he was still dangerous, that the brutality of his crime could never be excused. 10 times, Eric was denied. But in 2021, the decision changed. After 28 years in prison, Eric Smith was granted parole. At 41 years old, he walked out of prison a free man, though under supervision. The release ignited outrage. Could a man who murdered a 4-year-old in such a savage way ever truly be rehabilitated? For Derrick's mother, the pain never faded. She said the thought of her son's killer living free was unbearable, a wound that would never heal. The case of Eric Smith remains one of the most haunting examples of juvenile murder in American history. It forced parents, judges, and communities to confront an unthinkable question. What does justice mean when the killer is a child and the victim is even younger? For the Robie family, there will never be closure. For the town of Savona, the memory of that August morning still lingers like a scar. And for Eric Smith, freedom may have come, but the shadow of his crime will follow him for the rest of his life. If this story disturbed you as much as it did us, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Dark Side Secrets for more chilling true crime documentaries. And let us know in the comments, do you believe Eric Smith should have ever been released?